everyone, welcome back to Presley Mania. Thank you all for joining me. I missed being with you guys last week. I hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Now it is time for Christmas and the Christmas rush is on. I am telling you, it has been busy around here. But it's a wonderful time and we are excited to be celebrating the Christmas holidays, and Thanksgiving was wonderful and we have a lot to be thankful for. I wanted to go over a few things with you guys today. First of all, Baz Luhrmann has come out, this was in the news today, that Neon and Universal Pictures International have set a global release date for Epic. And for those of you who aren't familiar, these are the lost tapes. They call them the lost tapes of some of the outtakes that they did during the That's the Way It Is show. They were in a salt mine in Kansas and they found them. They have gone in and they've kind of like refurbished them. I guess that's a good word. Or they got them ready for us to view and they have enhanced them. And so it is going to be something else to see Elvis on the big screen. And to me, that was my most favorite era, was when he hit Vegas for the very first time. My goodness gracious, he was in top form. And let me read to you a little bit about what they say and what's going to happen. So, Neon and Universal Pictures International announced the global theatrical release of acclaimed visionary filmmaker Baz Luhrmann's Epic Elvis Presley in Concert, with a 1-week exclusive IMAX engagement on February 20th, 2026. The release will allow audiences around the world to immerse themselves in a one-of-a-kind cinematic experience, hearing Elvis perform and tell his story like never before with the unmatched power of IMAX. Following the 1-week engagement, Epic Elvis Presley in Concert will hit theaters everywhere on February 27th. So that is the big news about Epic. We've been wondering when we were going to get to see it. They have announced that Graceland will be showing the movie on January 8th at his birthday celebration at the guest house. So if you're going to that celebration, you can get tickets. They are only, I believe, giving out 2 tickets per person. And you can get those through Graceland. Go to Graceland and you can get them that way. Contact them. I think they're offering it to the founders and the fan club members first, and then the rest will be available to the general public. So they're free. And so hopefully, if you're going to be attending Elvis's birthday celebration, you can secure a couple of tickets and go see Epic. I definitely want to go there. However, I'm not sure at this point I'm going to be able to swing it. My husband's got doctor's appointments that day, and I had thought that I would be able to make it, but probably not this time. So, if something changes, then yippee. But if it doesn't, then I need to be here with him. So, the other thing I wanted to talk to y'all about was Priscilla did an interview on 7:30, which is a ABC affiliate. They're part of ABC, and the interviewer's name was Sarah Ferguson. And this was 12 days ago. It was a 7-minute and 28-second interview, and I was shocked with what I saw, honestly. There are no other words to explain. And if you have not seen it, It's on YouTube. If I don't forget, I will try to link it down in the description so that you guys can look at it and watch it. But there were several things that were extremely telling. I don't think she wanted to do this interview. Just the initial look on her face, the body language, all of it was just like, I don't want to be here. That's how I took it. There was even a part in there where she did finger snaps and she looked over to her side like, get me off of here. It was obvious. She did not want to be there. So I want to talk to you guys about some of the questions that were asked. This lady asked her some harder questions, and in my humble opinion, I do not think that Priscilla liked them. So here we go. One of the things that she asked that really caught my attention, it wasn't the very first question, but this caught my attention, and she said, why did you choose to leave Elvis? And Priscilla's answer was that she couldn't live the lifestyle. She said, how could I live that lifestyle? That was basically her answer. She said, I was worried about the girls that he was with, especially when he went back to Las Vegas, was worried about who was around him. I'm paraphrasing here, y'all. And who he was with, who he had been with. And she said, and I wasn't going to take it. And I had a child. I was dearly in love with him, but I just couldn't do that. She just couldn't live the lifestyle. That was her answer. Well, let's break that down a little bit. Let's analyze it. First of all, she was basically doing the same thing when Elvis wasn't around. She had an affair 6 weeks after Lisa was born with her dance instructor. She was seeing Mike Stone right around that time when he was in Vegas. So it's kind of like the pot calling the kettle black, right? And she had a daughter. How much time were you really spending with her? You were off to dance instruction classes. You were doing this. You were doing that. You had a nanny who was raising her. And according to some of the things that have been written and in your own book, you state that when y'all were doing pictures in, I think it was 1970, that Lisa didn't want to be in them. She would rather be with the nanny, and she didn't want to come to you. So you were upset about that. But the reason she didn't want to come to you is because she was more comfortable with the nanny. She had a connection with her. This is my opinion. This is what I see. When you do not spend time with your child, they're going to want to be with the person who cares the most about them. And, most children are very attached to their moms. They will go to her when they won't go to anybody else. That's who they want. But at that picture taking session, Lisa didn't want anything to do with her. So you can kind of draw your own conclusions, but those are mine. I don't know how she could sit there and say that I had a child and I was dearly in love with him. If you're dearly in love with somebody, why are you having an affair with somebody else? Same goes for Elvis. If he was dearly in love with her, why was he having affairs with other women? I mean, it just stands to reason that there were things wrong in that marriage. And you can say, well, and like Priscilla said, well, he was Elvis Presley. He could have anybody he wanted. Well, yes, he could have. But if he was committed to making that marriage work, he wouldn't have been seeing other people. He wouldn't have been, having affairs with other women. But neither would she have been having an affair with Mike Stone. So, I didn't approve of that answer. I thought it was weak. I didn't think that it was truthful. For once, I would love to hear her just say, I was seeing somebody else, we had gone separate ways. Because in reality, that's what happened. I think Elvis found out about the affair 6 weeks after Lisa was born, when the doctor had told her 8 weeks before you have any kind of, relations. And she was trying to manipulate Elvis. He wouldn't do it. So 6 weeks, she finds somebody that would. So, I mean, that's pretty point blank and blunt, but that's how I see it. So anyway, then Sarah asked her, she says, your relationship with your daughter became fraught emotionally, financially, and legally. And she's talking about Lisa's book here. Lisa actually said, it was a 1-2 punch. My daddy is dead and I am stuck with her. How hard was it for you to read those lines? That's what she asked her. Well, that wasn't, as we know, the only thing in the book that Lisa put. And it wasn't the only negative thing about her mother that was in there. Well, Priscilla's response immediately was laughter. Laughter. And she said, well, I know my daughter. I know my daughter. And I have to laugh because that's just her. When she was upset, she would start saying things, and she would just like let people have it. She would close her door and not come out for 2 days, for a day or two, and she was a little rascal. I had to go through that with her whole life. I had to go with that through her whole life. What kind of answer is that? Lisa isn't here anymore. You have lost your daughter. Apparently, she felt like it was important enough to put in her book. So she states that along with other things, but Priscilla laughs it off. And she says that's just how she was. She did go on to say, she said, she would just spout off and say things to people without thinking about it and how it would affect them. But then later she would come and apologize. And she said, those are things that no one hears, that no one knows about. But let's go back to something else she said. She would go into her room and close her door and not come back for a day or two. Well, what kind of parenting allows that? That wouldn't fly in our household. Number one, you don't slam the door or shut the door and not come out when I ask you to. Did Priscilla ask her? I have no idea. But I would have opened that door in a heartbeat and said, we're talking about this now. Now, was that part of the problem? That they didn't have those conversations? That Priscilla was gone. She was off doing her own thing. And then when she came home, Priscilla didn't interact with her. These are observations from an outsider looking in, saying, well, Lisa's behavior was this, so what caused it? And it appears to me that she was acting out because she truly did not want to be with Priscilla. And if she was sorry for what she said to her, why in the world would she have put it in her book? Maybe you guys have a different opinion than I do, but that's just kind of what I think. And then she is asked, Priscilla goes on to say that when asked about that, she said, let's see, have I missed something here? Hold on, I've got notes that I've just scribbled. Um, she said, the interviewer asked her, she said, does it bother you that it was put in the book and readers, and how readers are going to take it and how they are going to absorb what was said? And Priscilla said, well, they're going to take it the way they take it. You know, that was my daughter. You know, that's just how she was. If she felt a certain way, she was going to say it. Okay. But what about all of the other allegations that are in there? I mean, you could tell she was very uncomfortable. There weren't a lot of smiles on this show. It was just definitely a I don't want to be here moment, you know? And then this is where it really turned bad. So Sarah asks her about Scientology. And she says that you even mention it in your book, which she felt was kind of an odd thing to do. Sarah did. And she said, you admit to hearing the troubling rumors about Scientology. Given the credible allegations that have emerged now about forced abortions, human trafficking, enslavement within the organization, should celebrities like you have done more to question those allegations? So, and then she says, given the fact that Scientology used celebrities like you to attract people to it. Well, that's a tough question, and that Priscilla did not like it. The minute she brought up Scientology, you hear Priscilla snap her fingers down low. She's doing it down low, snapping her fingers, and she looks to her side like, get me off of here. You know, I don't know if that's some kind of signal or what it was, but if you could not miss the snapping of the fingers, you could not. It was a bad look. It was terrible. And you could tell it's like, I don't want to answer this question, but now you've asked me and I'm still here and I've got to. So she says, she goes on, Priscilla does, and she says, well, I haven't been with that organization in a very long time. She says she doesn't know what they're doing now and who is even there anymore. And that she says, I got some good things from it, and so did my daughter. She did say that. She said, but there were some things I didn't go along with. And then she goes back to, but there are some good things. Now you can take this in several different ways, okay? You can take it as, I don't want to be talking about Scientology and I don't blame her. I wouldn't either, because they are known for bad things, you know? And maybe she didn't want to deal with it. Maybe she doesn't want them coming after her for something. There's no telling, you know, maybe it scared her to talk about it. It's hard to say. I personally think that there is still some involvement between her and Scientology. Maybe some kind of non-disclosure agreement where you don't talk about us, we won't talk about you. Kind of an off-the-record deal or something. But they know an awful lot about her, and she, on the other hand, has dirt on them. Let's talk about what they did to Lisa to begin with. You know, throwing her in that drug cleansing program that they did, you know, where she sits in the hot tub and they're giving her this stuff to make her sweat out the drugs and things, like a cleansing. That wasn't good. You know, the fact that Priscilla put her in it to begin with, going completely against Elvis's wishes because he could not stand that organization, you know, all of it reeks. It's all very smelly. And so I don't know if Priscilla just flat did not want to answer the questions. She did answer it, but in a roundabout way, I don't know anything about it. I'm not a part of it anymore. I haven't been a part of it for a long time. I don't know who's in it anymore. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. But that's kind of her answer when she's trying to dodge things. That's what she's done with a lot of the court cases and a lot of the things when she is interviewed in depositions. It's, oh, I don't know. Oh, I don't remember that. Oh, I wasn't notified. Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. When you hear those, it makes the alarm bells go off to me. I just found that the interview was very odd because the questions were not things that she necessarily wanted to answer. I'm shocked that there wasn't some kind of contract where they would only answer, like, don't ask me this, don't ask me that, certain questions. These are off limits. I'm surprised. But this lady asked them, and you could tell it did not go well for Priscilla at all. She didn't like it. So if you haven't watched that video, you ought to check it out. If you enjoyed the content that I've presented today and you have not done so, be sure and hit that subscribe button and also the like. And if you hit the bell, if you click on that, it will notify you of all my upcoming shows. And I will have more coming. I have looked into the court cases that are going on right now, and things are quiet. Let me tell you what I have found so far when I went into the ones that are going on in Los Angeles between Bridget and Priscilla. There is on December 16th a hearing on a motion to seal defendants and cross complainants motion to file under seal. And what I find about this is really odd. It says hearing on motion to seal defendants with a question mark and cross complainants question mark motion to file under seal. Whose idea was that? Hearing on motion to seal defendants? Is that it? And it doesn't say. It doesn't say if that's coming from plaintiffs, Priscilla's side and her lawyers, or if that's coming from Bridget's side. I don't know. I am feeling like this is not something that the defendant, Bridget's team, would be doing, but we will see. And then on December 30th, they have a hearing on a motion to quash deposition subpoena for production of business records. And then another one on that same day for a deposition to quash deposition subpoena for production of records to Lynn Walker Wright, who was the attorney who they used when Priscilla signed all of the documents to form the LLCs with Bridget. So that's what's coming up. A lot of this stuff, if they seal the defendants and the cross complainants, we may not be able to tell what's going on in those cases unless something is printed. I prefer to look at the documents beforehand, before the magazine articles and all that kind of stuff, so I can look at them with my own eyes and tell you exactly what I think. But we shall see. I'm hoping that we're able to get more information. So that's the update on that end. So hopefully I will be back next week, and I will talk to you guys later. And remember, you only get one shot at this life, so live each day to the fullest, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.